A warm welcome to each one of you. This is the Naomi Talk Show with you truly, Liz Kenya, and kama kawaida, I'd like to appreciate each and every one of you that has become part of the family that we are becoming. Asanteni sana. Now, if it's your first time to come across our content, allow me to say karibu nyumbani. Karibu nyumbani, because this is a place where in every episode, in every show we get to air, three things are therein. You'll be equipped, you'll be inspired, you'll be educated to do life the way God intended. But the question is, do we understand how God intended for us to do life? Every part of our life, not some, not a few, but all of them. Do we? Do we even consult the manual? And that is the Bible. Because much of the answers we want to seek out here, they're in there, in the simplest way, in the simplest format. But sometimes we trouble our hearts by trying to figure out what is trending, what is fashionable, what is working where, what is working in the West, what can we adopt, and all that stuff. And therein we start to struggle, we start to survive, we start to encounter some bumps along the way. But my encouragement to you is that may we learn to consult and appreciate the fact that when God placed us on the face of the earth, He did not place us here to strive, to survive, but He placed us here to be able to thrive and enjoy life. Tuko pamoja? So karibuni sana. So today I am super excited. I have an amazing couple on set. We want to hear from them, because one of the things that I personally believe is that even today, when everybody is saying marriage is a scam, marriage doesn't work, when there's a generation saying wanaogopa vitu mbili, uji moto na ndoa, we are here to raise our voice and say marriage works, because the inventor of marriage truly is not panicking and wondering how things should happen. So we bring you marriages that are working, of people that are walking right with the Lord, just to confirm to you, regardless of the noise, that marriages still do work. So my guests today on set, you're ready for them? Allow me to introduce them, to let them introduce themselves, and we pick it up from there.
Amen. Praise the
Karibuni
Lord.
sana.
Asante sana. Praise the Lord. My name is Pastor Mercy Wairegi Jenga, and I'm happy to be here.
Karibu sana.
Amen.
Thank you very much. Well, my name is Sef Jenga, and a husband to this beautiful girl, a father, a pastor. Thank you so much for having us here. We are looking forward to a great conversation today.
Amen. We are more honored to have you. People are busy, they have tight schedules, and so when someone gives you their time, it's like going to the bank doing a huge withdrawal of millions and telling you, Shika ndio hii. So we are truly honored to have you here on set, and of course to learn from the two of you. So how many years of marriage?
We are heading to 13 years.
13. Hooray!
Amen.
13. Niko na swali natakanga kuuliza watu. In those 13 years, nani upenda chakula moto sana?
It's him.
Yeah.
Wewe unapenda ile imepoa poa kidogo.
Poa kidogo.
Utamu wa chakula moto iko wapi?
Iko tu hapo kwa hiyo moto. Kwa hiyo moto.
See the beauty in marriage. Some of us want the food to settle in slowly. All the taste buds to pick.
To scare flavors.
To scare all the flavors and all that stuff. That's part of the beauty in marriage. Hatufanani.
Yeah.
But somehow, we eventually end up gelling together.
That's true.
My next question. If there are mosquitoes in your house, in your bedroom, nani ataamka usiku kutafuta umbu? Na nani atashindwa mbona, why bother?
I think I'm the one who's most irritated.
Unaweza kimbizana nayo, wakisha stima zote kwa bedroom.
Paka yet, I don't like hearing sounds when I'm sleeping or even being touched by something on my face or something.
And then you realize he's wondering,
No, he's okay.
What's a big issue? What's the problem? Why have all the lights on? Chasing a small thing like this is interesting because kama kwetu, me, I can sleep with 10 mosquitoes around. They will not bother me. But now my husband is the opposite.
He does not want any.
Anaikisha taa zote, atafute torch, atafute ile kitu ya kuua mbu.
Kuchapa.
Just to make sure. How God does not bring us together, people with similar characteristics and qualities, likes and dislikes. It's always amazing. That's why negatives will always attract. So going back to 13 years back, I don't know who saw the other one first or how it happened or how did the entire scene play.
There are always two versions of the story.
Your version and his version.
What's your version? Let him start with his version. Mine is longer.
Well, I think I'd say I saw her first. Initially, I knew about her, but I had not known her. So I got the opportunity to interact with her at the time. I was doing some work for an online magazine. And so I met her initially as as somebody I was meeting to interview for that particular article. But then I had met her initially anyway, even before then. But really there was nothing much. I knew her. She is the anointed woman of God and, and just that. And even for looking for her for that interview was especially to get her story. But then that is when I started realizing there is so much in her that I got drawn to. And that became the beginning of a long journey that saw us into starting off a journey into marriage and now counting like almost 13 years later. Yeah, I think I probably don't know how, maybe she has another version to it, but I think I noticed her first, I think.
Wacha tusikie yako.
Of course, he had seen me because of the music, the songs. He had my music, alikuwa amenunua. But then, for me, the first time nilimuona was in church. He had come, to meet his brother who, I had just joined a new church where I served for many years, where we actually got married. So, that particular night, we were having a conference and he was asked by his brother to drop me home. So that was the first time I ever saw him.
I do remember that.
Yes.
I did. That was the first time ever that we actually spoke. That was the very first time that we actually spoke. My brother was serving as a pastor in that church. And so I had come to see him, random. I mean, that's why people should be visiting their families, wherever their families are, because I was not even attending the service. I was not going for any meeting. I was going to see him. But it happened that there was a meeting going on. Then it happened to be raining that evening. And so he was like, just go ahead and drop her. And that was the place we got to meet for the first time.
Yes, but then, of course, now he joined the church much later. And, we got to know each other from now the church. And that's when now things started. Akanita interview ya magazine. Actually, that was the first time we ever sat down to have a conversation. And that's when everything started. Yeah.
So, wacha tu niulize hapo kwa gari. Women tunaambiangwa before a man processes alphabet A, a woman has already processed alphabet C or D somewhere. Au kwanza kusema
Actually, I didn't think we had a lot in common.
Really?
Yeah. He looked like he's just uko. The people you meet and you feel ako tu uko. he may not even be my type, you know, and also he looks quite young. So for me, I didn't even expect he's in my age bracket. So I thought, yani tu, iko tu. So I didn't carry too much into it. And he was those people that looked very outgoing. And for me, I was not as outgoing. I was outgoing, but quite reserved. So he looked, that's the way I judged him the first day. He looked like a very outgoing person. He's all out here and everything, bubbly and everything. So I didn't read a lot into who he was at the time. And also, I thought he was quite young. I thought he was even younger than me by that time when I saw him. Then I realized, kumbe ni mwili jeans.
Jeans ni mzuri.
Jeans zake ni mzuri
sana. Great. So now here is the first time you get to meet, and so at what point did you now realize I need to start zeroing down on this one? Ama nini? Ile wanasemanga nianze ku mark my territory around this one.
Well, by the time I had done quite a lot of interviews with people, I had met all kinds of people, you know, people who are doing businesses, leaders in different sectors in the community. I had met celebrities, musicians, pastors. But then sitting down and talking to her and capturing her story, I really got impressed by her values. And that really sparked something in me, because there are people that I will sit down and, you know, we have an interview, certainly take on their story. But for this particular story, it was more than just a story. And I got drawn to the person. And I think especially that's when I realized, and after we had done the story, we continued interacting, talking on phone and meeting, because now by the time I had joined the church where she was, and by and by I realized, you know, the person, away from the microphone, away from the stage, away when the lights are off, the stage lights are not there, the cameras are not there. What kind of a person is behind the celebrity? And I think that is especially what got my attention. And that's when I now started as a man to really pursue her. And, you know, pursuing a woman of God is not an easy thing to do.
And not just a woman of God, a woman who is out here, who is an influencer, a celebrity, you know?
Absolutely. You know, a celebrity, well-renowned person. I loved her music. I loved her music. I had actually bought quite a number of her albums, even before I ever met her.
Wow.
So already I knew the person, but then getting to know the person. But during that season, much as I appreciated she was out here, she was a known person, she was by the time what you can call, you know, a very celebrated gospel minister. I think for me, what especially stood out is the person. The person. So I didn't at any point really, much as it was, I was aware of who she was, but I was especially drawn to the person. And I think that is especially what became my point of focus, even at the time. And so much as she's all that she has always been, I think I really got drawn to the person. I didn't allow that to really get in the way of.
Allow me to first of all celebrate you, because wanaume wanaogopa wadada wenye wanakaa wamepanda ngazi kidogo.
I think so. Well, I think so, especially if you focus on that. If that is your focus, then that is what you get to be more conscious about.
So you're never intimidated at all?
I don't think I was at any point. I think it was especially the person that I got drawn to.
Yes.
And, you know, and I think that should be there. That should be what people look for. Sometimes I feel sorry for ladies who have succeeded in certain areas before they get married. Because sometimes I just don't know whether the person that will come to date them
Can
is
handle.
really after the person
Yes.
or what they have.
Yes.
Because that should never be the case. You know, things can change. You know, money can go,
True.
a lot of things, jobs, people can lose jobs, people get retrenched. And therefore, I believe the focus should be on the person. And so everything else comes later on. But then I should say to every man out there, you know, you should, much as you appreciate, you celebrate, you acknowledge who the person is, but it should really, really be on the person.
Wow. Eish. Sijui tuokote offering baada ya hii. Kwa sababu hapa nje, it's interesting because women have, by God's grace, I think now moved into the big spaces. You're having women now, as someone was telling me, women are no longer bringing home the bacon. They own the bakery.
They own it.
Absolutely.
And so the guys are like, hey, this one I cannot approach. This one, no. This one, umesikia, it is possible. Pursue the person. The qualities you see in them. When they are not in the CEO's office, the CEO's seat, who is that lady? Mine has the CEO title, mine has the MD title. Kwa hivyo, boss, usiogope.
Let me just add something to it, because the reverse is also true. Even for the men, ladies should look at what quality of a man is this, away from their position, away from their job and all that. And sometimes I fear the reason why some marriages don't hold together is because people didn't get drawn to the person. They got drawn to what the person had. And so when the status and the person is no longer working in the same place, and they don't have what they had, then some marriages can't hold it together after that. Because the attraction was not to the person, it was to what the person has.
Imagine. Food for thought. I'm loving this conversation, by the way. And as we told you, this is a place where you get to learn, to be equipped by men and women who are living life in a very authentic way. They are not sugarcoating. They are not telling you things you from which they are real life experiences. So these qualities that you saw in Mercy, able to ambie some of them.
Well, I think her commitment to God and her honor, she valued God. And from the place where I grew, I come from a very, my mom really was very, very diligent to take us to church and to help us get established in the house of God. And so one of the things that has always mattered to me is the person that I will, at the time, the person that I would eventually date and get married will be a godly person. There are people who they can be around God, but they really are not drawn to God. They're just in the crowd. But I think one of the things that I realized, for her, God is not just something that she was just professing, but she was committed. And she was careful about her walk. She was careful about, what she did. She feared the Lord and she honored God. She was not just a church person.
Yeah.
So nowadays when I hear somebody's dating somebody, I usually ask them, are they actually born again?
Or they're just church girl or church.
Oh yeah. And sometimes the statement is, he's a good man.
Nimse wa church.
Oh yeah. Nimse wa church. Nimse mpoa. Manidemo church. But when you hear that as the first statement that somebody says, then you know the rest of the story. But for her, she was not just a church person. She was not just a church girl. God mattered to her. Her faith was critical. She put God ahead of her music. She put God ahead of many other things. And that is one of the things that really I got drawn to. But also realized she's also someone who valued family. And I thought there are people who really don't value family.
True.
To them, family is just one of those things that, But I realized that she valued family, and I could pick it from even her own relationship with her own parents. She honored her parents. I'd say to anybody who's watching this right now, if you're dating somebody who does not respect their parents, that is a red flag. Don't wait for a prophet to come from another country to tell you that. If they just don't have respect for the mother who raised them, respect for the father who has raised them, I mean, you may not quite be very sure they'll have any respect for you as well. And that's why those are some of the things that her faith is authentic. The honor for the parents, have values for the family, and I thought these are things that are really significant.
Wow.
And at that point, then my eyes were starting to really open up to see who this person really is.
Wow. You know, there's something you mentioned before I come to you, Mercy. I think we are living in a generation that is saying, I'm cutting off my parents. I'm cutting off my parents. Now, and there's a lot of pride in, I have not spoken to my parents for the last 3 years, for the last 4 years, because they are toxic. You get what I'm saying? But from my own, and I'm not saying I'm right, some of these definitions that have come up, we need to be careful before we start adopting everything and all of them.
It's true.
Where did they come from? What was the agenda behind them being introduced into them? Because for me, anything introduced, there's an end game to it.
It's true.
There's an end game to it. When we were growing up, we didn't know toxic. All of a sudden, toxic, and then we underlining it so much, circling it so much. Wow. Thank you. Mercy. I'm sure there are also things that when he started now making the moves, you're taking also. You are taking something.
Yes.
What are those things that you are taking? The values, the qualities you're showing here?
First of all, especially that conversation we had, it was an interview. I had so many interviews. I've, of course, being in the limelight, you get to have a lot of interviews from all directions. But on this particular interview, I felt this was a bit different. It was a very personal, so to say, conversation, in the sense that we were able to connect. There was a connection. That's what I'd say, because I didn't have to fake who I was. The conversation led me where I wanted to go, because most of the places you go for interviews, they want to know which food you like, what do you do when you wake up in the morning. Now, being that figure they see, they want to idolize that. And so they focus on that. But he was very keen on going into, what am I about? And that's what, for me, that's what I consider an interview that will add value to the viewer. Such an interview like this, we're learning things, that can take us a long way. So for me, that I picked very fast, and I realized he's not just about face value. He's going for the heart. He's going for, what are you about? Who are you really? We are seeing the limelight. We are seeing the glory. We are seeing everything, but really on the inside, who are you? And so I really admired that. And as we talked, it was a sharing, so to say, because he was able to share also his experience. We had a lot in common, even in the way we've served God, the way we've honored God, the way we value the work of God, ministry, our walk with God, purity. It was so easy to just flow in the conversation. Things that I said were not strange to him. You can tell somebody, oh, me, I'm even keeping myself, and then they're looking like, in this day and age, and it looks strange to them, or it feels strange to them. They're looking at you like, hey, hawa ni wale walifika. But for him, he could connect with what I was saying. He could understand. And also, he shared a bit about himself in the which was very different from most interviews. All you do is say about who you are. You're the interviewee. So you end up just sharing about yourself. But in this case, it became like he shared about himself as well, how he grew up, the values that he was taught, his parents and all that. He equally values parents, So we had a lot. In fact, I left there feeling it's like he's lived the same kind of life I've lived. It's like he's been living my life, but from a different place, and so I felt really, really that we connected. But even on that aspect of parents, I must say that in this day and age, what is happening is that the enemy is planting a seed to disconnect generations. So that, like the way the scripture says, there came a generation that did not know God, that did not know the works that God had done previously to the children of Israel. So it is the same thing the enemy is trying to introduce. If you realize, even during COVID, we were told not to bring our children to church. Part of that was to disconnect from knowing the God that their parents have served and have known. And so we need to be very intentional. In fact, I encourage parents in our church, do not leave your child at home.
Thank you.
Even if they'll come and cry and whatever, let them kick in the house of God. They're not the first ones to cry, but they'll cry 2 days, 3 days. The fourth day, they'll be the one telling you, Mommy, can we go to church? And I've seen testimonies of parents whose children never wanted to step foot in church. Every time they'd come to church, they'll throw tantrums. Then I tell them, usimwache, just come. The teachers know how to handle even those tantrums. Bring them. And those same children today, like there's one on this Sunday, he was coming to hug me so warmly. Nowadays, he just leaves the car and I'll be Mommy, bye, goes to Sunday school.
Wow.
He doesn't even want to see his mother until service is over. Imagine how the mother would have lost if she thought the tantrums were something to go with. So let's bring our children to church, because that's also a way that we safeguard our future as parents.
True.
Because we know that these children will end up the way we want.
Actually, that is basically what I'm hearing you say. Let our children understand our culture.
Yes.
Because culture, from a psychology point of view, is a way of life.
Yes.
So us as believers, what is our way of life?
Yes.
That our children can say, kwetu,
we go to church on Sunday.
Kwetu Sunday ni negotiable.
Yes.
Tunaenda.
It's not optional.
Church.
Yes.
It's not. Because they learned it from kitambo. But sasa when we give them options, speaking of which, hakuna mtu anamshanga mtoto on Monday to Friday,
to go to
ati
school.
amka nakwambia umechoka unawambia sawa lala basi. It never happens.
It's a must.
But then the lie is that on Sunday you wake up your child, they say they're tired, you go like baba
sleep,
lala. Na lie of the
you
devil.
Don't have to.
We need to know where the lie is. After all, church ni masaa mangapi, by the way? And they can go back to sleep. School is a whole day, for crying out loud. We are learning, friends. We are learning. Peleka watoto. Let them understand the culture of your family. You that is born again. Great. So now between hapa, roho zikaanza kukubaliana.
Yeah.
Zikaanza kusema ni kama
ticking some boxes.
We are becoming compatible. Sasa kuna ka process hapo kingine kanaitangwa dating, courtship, engagement. Wengine hawakufanya hizo vitu zote, hata wengine waelewi which one comes first, last, second.
Walianza nyuma wakienda mbele.
So how was that season and period for you?
Yeah.
And more so, did you have this kind of, the kind of glamorous engagements that we see today? How was it? And even if it was not, it should still be fine. Maybe personally, it was not there our time.
Tulikuwa unapelekwa kwa madhabahu straight.
Tutaona, sindio,
tunakutana kwa altar.
Sasa tuanze hiyo process ya premarital counseling. But now 13 years means you're in that generation where, of course, happened. So how was that for you?
So after the conversation, and then we realized now we kept talking on phone and texting, but not romantically. We didn't jump right in. It took some time. But then after a while, of course, we realized we are talking quite a bit, and then we'd meet in church, and sometimes we'd
very long Cabro fellowship.
Yes, he'd take me to my bus stop. Those days we're using matatus, and he'd take me to the bus stop and then make sure nimeingia, nimeenda. Son of a time, so it was becoming something. So on this particular day now, he decided, he invited me to come over for some function. He was going to take photos in. Part of what he does is media as well. So he was taking photographs. And so he invited me. I went. And then after that, kumbe he had planned. It was a Valentine's Day.
Hey.
So he had planned to actually now let me know what he feels about me. But of course, by that time, we were warmer towards each other. There was a sense of now actually, there's something here. There was something. And then so he had done a pretty card that had my photo on it. And he'd written there, he loves me and all that. And so he gave me on that day. So he gave me on my way home. So I read it, of course. And then I had to respond,
with another one.
No, I just told him. I just told him. Me, I don't do those fancy. He's the card guy now in our marriage. He's the one who sends flowers and what he likes to do those kinds of gestures. For me, I like to have conversations. So of course I responded and told him I feel the same way. I feel I'm also drawn to you and I love you. So we started planning for. So for him, he went straight to the point. I want you to be my wife. He didn't say, "Oh, can we date?" No.
Can we try it out?
We didn't date. Yeah, he said, "I want you to be my wife." But then there was a project I was doing, my album, and he helped me through getting it done and the launch. So when the launch came, after the launch, I was going to visit a friend of mine in Diani, who had gone. So, and he has a relative thereabout. So we decided we'll take the time off and just go cool it off on the other side of the coast. So that's where he proposed officially. Yes, that's where he proposed marriage. We were just walking by the beach.
Hizo pictures ni zile zinatesa watu mkiweka social media sasa zitasumbua watu. And that's why I tell people, aki usiwaishi kuwa na pressure ukiona picha pia kwa social media. You're just doing your thing. You didn't have to overspend on it and all that stuff. But tukiona
Muna sasa.
Tunaambia jamaa, unaona?
I want like
this.
If
it is not this, I don't want it.
So yeah, it was pretty special. Even coming to the engagement and, of course, there was now other events that came after that, surprises after that, where we were now officially engaged. Yes.
So on that particular one, did you spend an arm and a leg?
Well, I believe it's important to be authentic.
Yes.
And for us, it's something we didn't struggle with from the beginning. Just being authentic.
Yeah.
You buy a ring that you can afford.
Yes.
Because even if you buy a ring that will cost you an arm and a leg, it's not quite in the value of the ring, but more so in the kind of commitment you can make to one another. And I think for me, I got a nice ring. It was really a good one. It was really a good ring. But then it's not really quite about all that. And I think a lot of times there are people who put themselves under too much pressure.
Yeah.
That they get too exhausted in it. They get so lost in it. And they lose sight of the relationship and the values that they ought to be building in their journey. So I think, and I'm also thankful for her because again, there are people who can have these standards that are very, sometimes not even realistic. They can have some standards that are not, even
practical.
They are not practical. But being able to do from where we were and being authentic and getting people around us that we were accountable to in the whole process that we were dating and just really being in the house of God, walking with our pastors. Those are some of the things that really helped us a lot in that journey, in that phase of dating. So it was not just about the glam, but more so about the substance and the content of our relationship.
Another point, let me ask you, do you think in the days we are living in, social media is playing a role in messing up with the reality of how things ought to be?
Yeah, absolutely. Media in general does shape perceptions. And so if all you believe is what you see on media, whether it is social media, whether it's television, whichever media platform, if you got to be careful not to allow that to shape your perceptions away from your values, because you really must also know that you are not the person you see. You're not them.
Yes.
So they have their story, they have the reason they do what they do.
And some of them are actually sponsored
Absolutely.
to
Absolutely.
do those kind of high-end things and glamorous and with all these.
Absolutely. Media and social media is a stage for performance. It is not the actual life. You know, you watch movies, you never see these people going to shower, you never see them really working hard, you never see them, you know, you just see people, it is a
When
stage.
they're polished
Absolutely.
and put together.
And such is media. Media is a stage where people really just post what they want you to see. But that may not be who they are. That may not be who they are. So when you try to keep up with who they are not even there themselves. Then you get to lose yourself. And especially if you base your relationship, and in particular marriage, to what is trending and what is on social media, you know, you will lose it.
Completely.
Because the things that people post out there is far from who they really are. Many songwriters who've done love songs, some of them can't even keep their own marriages. They've moved from divorce to divorce, yet they sing about
and they have got the highest
songs.
numbers of views.
They have amazing views. They have these, you know, videos that they have. But that is not what keeps a marriage. It is what really the people are about. And I'd say it's very important to know yourself. First of all, to know who are you. If you don't know who yourself, you're not ready for marriage. You got to know who are you. What are your values? And then you get to know who is the other person. Who are they? And you get to also appreciate their values. Do they value God? Do they value the things that you also value? And then anything else can be things that you're learning from. Because then you'll be able to buffer your relationship in your marriage from influences that may not be there to build you up. So yeah, you know, social media does affect people, and in most cases not in a positive sense. You have to filter through before you really get content that can build you. And content that can build you sometimes can sound boring content, but that is really content that will build. It's like going to school is never fun, but you know, you cannot exchange that experience later on for anything, because it is those experiences that may not necessarily be fun that can really build you up.
Completely. Wow, my goodness. So wewe ukiscroll kwa mtandao, scroll with one eye closed.
It's true.
So that's bado ikae kikukumbusha there's a reality that you're not getting to see. What you're seeing is probably a polished, highly polished 10%. 90% you've no idea of what happens behind the scenes.
Allow me to say to you that as well. And I believe it's very important. There are people that are here, they're saying, you know, they follow so and so on social media, people they have never met. So they even follow pastors from other countries whom they've never met, and they say, you see, that's
and
my
they become
pastor.
their mentors. Yes.
But I'll tell you, it is very important to have somebody who knows you and knows you for who you are.
Exactly.
And I'd say, much as we have all these resources online, especially on matters relationship and dating, and even your own personal journey, you need to have a real person that you can sit down with. Somebody who can ask you real questions.
Exactly.
And they can observe your life. And they can hold you accountable. These long distance proxy mentorship won't really build character.
Thank you.
But you need people who can shape you. They will sit you down. They know when things are working for you, when things are not working for you. And I'd say, for us, God helped us that we had those kind of people who are around us, close enough to watch our lives, close enough that we can be accountable to. And that is what really is going to build a strong foundation for any relationship that is going anywhere.
Wow. Things are heavy. My goodness. I'm 21 years, several years ahead of you, but I feel like I'm also learning. Because we're always learning anyway.
Yes.
Let's talk about premarital counseling and the choosing and settling on a best couple. Hizo mbili.
They're very crucial. I remember after he proposed, and of course we agreed we are gonna get married. For him, it was very particular. He had premeditated and said, if I say yes, we're gonna get married in 2 years from that time. So the first thing he did is tell me we need to go see our bishop.
Wow.
Yes. And I really appreciated that, because most of the time it's us women who initiate walking in purity in the dating, and also seeing your pastor. Most times it's a women that are the ones who are keen to do those things. But coming from him, I thought that was very, very special. And so we went and saw our bishop, and we were able to now begin being, taken through, the premarital. For us in our church, we had what we call a class where would come any couple getting married within that season. Yeah. So we'd do the class. It was over 6 months. And so we took that class very faithfully, and it was very, very useful, because what as young people we know about marriage is not what it is. We see the glam, we see the holding hands, we see the walking together, and we imagine that's just all. But there's too much, the daily life that goes into marriage, how you will live, where you will live, how you agree on values, religion, and things like that. And so premarital counseling was able to take us through money matters,
in-laws.
Yes, in-laws and outlaws, friends, and how to handle conflicts, and how to communicate right. Those days you didn't even know, by the way you say something matters more than even what you're saying.
Sasa hiyo mapenzi inakuanga inafanya hivi.
You can't imagine you'll ever quarrel.
Conflict. You look at the person and
in fact, we were told, sisi tunawafunza sahi, it may not look like it is real, but a day will come, you will remember this. And sure enough, the days of conflict began, and we were able to borrow and take from that. And so what I'll say is, it is so important, too important, for a couple to go through premarital counseling, because that helps you to start marriage on the right foot. There are many marriages that begin wrong. They're already over before they start, because they started on the wrong foot. Yet, if you just go through counsel, you're able to start in the right way, so that you're not good people. I remember one couple we counseled. They had separated. They even started initiating divorce. Then they said, let's just try one more time. And they contacted him through a friend. And we were able to take them through it. They are still married now, even with 2 children now. At that time, they had just decided and it was just a few months into marriage, and they just separated because they started wrong. But when we took them through the same class we were taken through, and that saved their marriage. So many times marriages don't fail because these are bad people or they're not good for each other. No, but because they have no knowledge of what they're getting into. So it helps you know what kind of covenant you're getting into. That marriage is not just for good times, it's for bad times as well. It's for sickness, in health, in riches, in poor. When you're poor, when there's no money, when there's money, how do you see your spouse? And how do you relate? And so that was very important. The other thing that we had to do was pick a best couple. And let me tell you, that in itself can break a marriage as well.
True.
Before it starts.
True.
Because I remember we had challenges ourselves when picking a best couple sometimes. And we were trying to think, we don't want to pick, most people, they go for glam.
Hallelujah.
Wanatafuta ule anakaanga amedress vizuri na wanakaa wanashikana mikono. Mwenye nguo itakaa smart.
Alafu usaya kudance asikuangushe.
Bas.
Please.
But you see, that's not it.
Ulipia MC, na hype man.
Alafu best couple ajui kudance. Aje sasa.
No.
So people get it wrong. Because you look at the person who's gone ahead of you, whose marriage is real.
Thank you.
Wenye wanajua conflict, wanajua siku nzuri, wanajua siku mbaya, and they are still committed to each other. Who will tell you the truth. They'll tell you marriage is not always rosy. There are days you wake up, you wonder, why did I marry this one? There are days you wake up and you're so in love, you can't get your hands off each other. And so they will tell you those seasons, how they look, and they'll help you navigate. I remember my best couple, even when I gave birth to my daughter, she was there. She made sure I had everything. She knew what to do, how to do. So it's very important to get the right best. Si wale tu wa PR kusign signature yake ni tamu itakuwa kwa certificate yako. you need somebody who can actually walk you through
Even
life.
after.
Even after.
Yeah.
Before and after. Before, they help you to prepare to start marriage right. And after, they watch that you're still keeping to the things that you need to keep to, so that you're not forgetting your covenant. Anytime I would feel like I've had it, I would go to their house. They were not living too far from. And I would go there and would have conversation with my best lady. And she would talk to me and we would share. And I would come back home.
You know, the interesting bit, I've also bested people, and sometimes they would come. I'm trying to see you walk into my house. They would come, and I'm like, Tulia.
You know?
They're like, why are you making it look so small? I'm like,
That's a non-issue.
Let me also add to say, I've seen people sometimes who, when they are picking a best couple, they pick people who are not married, people who are not a couple. And I usually say it is very important to pick a married couple to be a best couple, because these people are not just there for the photos. You want to have a meaningful relationship with them that they can sit it down and they can share with you about their own journey. For you to get to a place where somebody can come to you, you know, and as according to them, this is the worst that can happen. And you're telling them, you know, Tulia, you know, this is not even as bad as this can, you know, you can be able to get past this. You need a couple, not just people who are, you know, they have not walked the journey, not just people who don't live together. You need to sit down
have a similar
as
outlook.
a couple with another couple and let them pour into your lives. And people sometimes trivialize the place and the role of a best couple. Their role is critical. They're supposed to pour wisdom. That is not just one person perspective, but our perspective, so that the two of you can actually see this thing actually does work. And I think that's quite critical. Proverbs 24 verse 3 says that by wisdom a house is built. By understanding, it is established. By knowledge, it is furnished with beautiful treasures. But both wisdom, understanding, and even knowledge are things that you must seek for. And if that couple cannot share with you wisdom, knowledge, and help it to develop understanding for one another as a couple, then that becomes one of the cracks that is already forming before you even build anything.
And I think, like, I agree with what he's saying. The best couple needs to be committed to seeing you thrive in your marriage, because they are not just there for face value. They need to be praying for you. They need to be vouching for your marriage to do well. It needs to hurt them when things are not going well, so that they do everything. They will utakuja uambie tumeachana and they just say, okay, if that's what you feel is okay. No, it will feel something in them. They'll be like, we're invested.
Is being ripped
Yes. There needs to be a sense of investing in your marriage, so that they're not just there for face value.
Wow.
It's not marketing.
Yes.
Are we together? Are you with us? I hope you're learning something, not just something, many things. Because, as we said, we are here to equip you, inspire you, and educate you to do life the way God intended. Tukafika siku ya harusi. What is the biggest thing you remember most about your wedding day? Because I know everything, of course, was great, but kuna ile hata ukiamshwa usiku wa manane hiyo unakumbuka.
First of all, the crowd was big, very big. I think we had not anticipated. We tried to keep it very quiet so that we don't get as many people, because we were anticipating watu watafikiria wakuje.
Hapo kuna kama my daughter alinitumia, when you tell your mother you want a small crowd for your wedding and she says it's okay, and then unaona watu wamekuja na mabasi. Because she can't keep count.
It was crazy, I'm telling you. We had people all over coming with buses and all. I think we had we had over 800 people.
Whoa.
Yes. Yes.
Did you feed them?
The caterer did magic, I think. Because the food was not for 500. For 800, it was for 500. But somehow she was able to feed 800 people. without charging us extra. I
Wow.
thank God for her. But then the other thing that I really remember when I wake up, it's the one thing that I remember he sang for me. I'm the singer, but he's the one who sang.
Hey.
Oh, yeah.
He sang When I Found You by Bibi Winans. That I will always treasure.
Eh.
It was beautiful.
Wow. That was memorable.
Mm.
And you?
Well, I think there was a lot of planning, certainly looking forward to the day, families and all that. But I still remember her walking down the aisle with her parents by her side. I still remember her face and her smile all the way to the front. And I also remember the vows. The vows that we shared with each other. And I think those are some of the very sacred, very special moments that are a highlight. For me, it was a very interesting wedding. A lot of laughter, amazing people. But I think the highlight is especially just, I remember her walking down that aisle. We were there, of course, earlier than the bride and waiting for her to eventually get there. And her walking down and exchanging vows and making these commitments to one another. I think those are great highlights that I remember from the day.
So 13 years later, looking at your planning, as you have said, you planned a lot. If you were to go back, reconstitute your planning committee, and are there things you would like strike out or add? Or is there one element in the entire planning process that you would say, this one out, this one in?
I think for me, I was very focused on the marriage more than the wedding. It didn't move me much to have a perfect wedding per se. And I think that's what saved me the hassle, because the pressure was a lot to get everything right. And if I was to go back, I'd still have it that way. Focus on how you will live after that, what life will look like, where you will be, what you want to relate and all that. But the wedding for me was just, in fact, I had told him, even if we do a wedding of 50 people, even if we went to the AG, I don't care. At the end of the day, what mattered to me most
is life after.
What life am I getting into? And so for me, I would not have it any other way. I'd still focus very little on the wedding and focus most of my energy on the marriage. Yes.
Having planned heavily.
Oh, yeah.
Are there adjustments you go like, I would adjust this or remove that, plus, minus?
I think as far as the wedding day is concerned, I normally say the wedding day is especially for the lady. It's especially for her. So most of the discussions, I will still want to think about, is that what you want? Because it's especially for her. If you ask as men, if there's a way to just get married with all these things, all these things, all these visits, but it's especially her day. I usually say the wedding day is hers, the wife is yours at the end of the day. But the way to get to the wife is just, you have to go through the wedding. And I think for us, we even then, we had a very practical wedding. We didn't try to shoot way over the budget or try to get a white horse. We just stuck to what is available and how can we use what is available to have a memorable day.
Underline available.
Yes. Oh yeah. And just saying, this is what we have now. How can we use this?
Yes.
To have, because sometimes I've gone to weddings that I've even joined weddings. Some of those weddings were millions of money put into the wedding, but it really can't see it. But I've also gone to weddings that didn't have much money, but the way what was available was used. And I think that's what I would also say, even for us, if you were to go back, just maintaining authenticity, saying what do we have, how can we make it work? And that is the same thing I tell people out there, that be more concerned about the marriage more than you are about the wedding. There are people who fight about the wedding day until they already have a very rough start into their marriage.
And actually, it's unfortunate. You find people going into debts to have a
Just
very
to get a
glamorous
And banks are very willing to
weddings.
finance.
Oh, yes.
Very, very
And then
willing.
even as you go for your honeymoon, you already have a headache.
Oh, yeah.
Because you know,
How
by
do you
this, we
pay?
need to start now paying.
Yes.
Mm.
It's a
The
lot of
envelopes
pressure.
were not enough to even
Oh, they're
float
never
and meet
enough.
some of the needs and the budget overheads that were there.
Yes.
And so you realize you're not even enjoying the honeymoon. Because
And again, I'd also say surround yourself with people who really are for you.
Yes.
And they're not just for you for association. They are really, really for you.
They'll do anything.
But you need those kind of people. People who are real friends.
who can even call you out.
Yes. People who can correct you. People who can tell you, this is what we have. Let's stop imagining things that are not even available. Surround yourself with that kind of a people. People who are not fake, real people, because those people will help you to have a good start as you get into marriage.
Actually, our wedding was done by people. I'd say that. It was people, because I remember even like my convoy was all Mercedes black.
Wow.
And they were all black Mercedes, and none of them had I hired. Not even one. Every one of them was from friends. They just, how they came up with those, it was not even us who knew. They told us, we have your convoy right, don't worry. We had a traffic guy who was helping clear traffic for us. And I mean, it was done like a high budget wedding, but very low budget. Most of the things, even my gown, I was given by my mom in the Lord. Yes, I was given by my mom. She told me, I commit, your wedding gown is my work. And she paid everything. And so we had a lot of things taken care of by people who are willing to give up anything just to make sure our day.
But that also says that you had also invested in relationships and in the affairs of those people.
Yes, that's right.
I think every day we're living our lives, we ought to live our lives knowing that it's not just about us.
Yeah.
And you don't do things hoping that someday that person will ever do anything for you. It's just important not just to live for ourselves, but to live for other people.
Yes.
Because there comes a time when that comes back to you. But that should not be the motivation.
True. Very true.
The motivation is not like I'm doing this one day.
Because,
But you just do things, and I think most of the good things that you do, you forget them. You even forget down the road, many years later, somebody comes and tells you that in a certain year you did this. You
and
even
like,
forgot. Because you never did it. Oh, yes. You never did it for. And I think when it comes to including putting together such functions, because a wedding is just one among many other things that you can do in life. It's really about the relationships you have. People are critical. No matter how high, you can never go. Never get so high that you do not value relationships. You don't value people. And when I talk about relationships, I talk about people who are your mentors, people who are also like
at your level,
and people that you're also mentoring. So all these people matter to you. But there are people who get to a place and they have no mentor, they have nobody that can speak to them or call them to, or call them to order. And I think it's good to maintain all these relationships and to submit ourselves to be of service and to be a blessing to people. But you never know when some of these people may actually be the ones stepping in. Some things for our wedding, we don't even know who did it. They chose to remain anonymous.
Yeah, they brought extra flowers. We didn't even pay for those extra flowers.
So
my mother in our Hebrew language says, "Mundu atongaga andu tido." I don't know that you understand that Hebrew.
Yeah. It's close to also what you say. Ado, neoido.
Thank you.
Like people, it's the people that you have.
Yes.
It's not about, during COVID, I remember a case in Italy where people were going to their windows from their apartments and just throwing the cash they had to the streets because they go to a place and, they're dying, they're sick, there's no solution, there's no medicine. And yet they have worked hard to accumulate all this money and now the money cannot help them.
Imagine.
It is like the case of Alexander the Great. You get to the place when it is too late and you realize the money I have, the fame that I have.
It's all vanity. And I remember And I think I'll ask here this question. There's a minister I listened to down South Africa, a man of God, and he said he lost his marriage because he overlooked the need of the spouse when the marriage was young and pumped all his energy in ministry. By the time he was coming back, the wife was having him divorce papers, and it was done. I listened to another one from West Africa, and he said that was the last day. Somebody said he's now looking forward to enjoying Christmas with the grandchildren and overcompensating for the time he never had with his children. Okay, so now I'm coming to you as people who are in ministry. Both of you in ministry, and ministry can be overwhelming.
Oh, yes.
That's a fact.
Oh, yes.
So how are you able to keep this relationship going, handling the children, handling the ministry, handling Mercy to still feel important, and of course making him still feel important in this relationship?
Yes.
So how do you balance that? Because now the gun is off.
Yes.
We are now starting to live the real life. Ministry is calling. The children are starting to come. You also need to grow as a person in your giftings, in your purpose, in your calling. He also needs to see the ministry growing and all that stuff. So how do you then make sure that you've walked this journey together 13 years and still moving strong?
I think life is very intentional. And if you're not intentional about it, then it will throw you off. And I think for us, because we knew we are ministry people from the start, even by that time we were getting married, we were both pastors. And so, but we were not pastoring a church like we are now as senior pastors. But we knew we were going to get here, even where we are senior pastors, and we will have family, we will have all these things still that need our attention. And so for us, we've been very, very intentional. First of all, the kind of relationships that we have built around ourselves is of couples who want to spend time with each other. So that when we are not on the pulpit, out here, we're enriching marriage. We're with people who are walking this journey, we're walking as well, who want to spend time with each other as spouses. We can go play a game or do something. We do those things to help our marriage so that we don't become strangers over time. And we can tap into the little boy in him, the little girl in me, even in those moments, laugh together and do all those. And then once in a year, at least we try to go for vacation out of Nairobi, at least leave the hustle and bustle and just go and be out there. And sometimes we can carry children, but many times we'll go the two of us. And then of course we'll balance family as we keep going. But it takes a lot of intentionality because the natural thing is to drift away because ministry is so demanding. And with ministry there is no Monday, Friday, Saturday.
Midnight, 2 a.m. Pastor! 3 a.m. Pastor!
Yes. When you're a pastor, you are working full time. It's full time, like 24 hours. So we have had to really, and also know what is so important that we need to attend to in person, but also what can we delegate to allow other people to also help so that we can have time for ourselves as individuals and also for us as a family. And it's worked quite well because I've realized that we actually get to spend a lot of time together eventually, as opposed to maybe those who don't get even to spend time together. And then again, even doing ministry together helps us because even during that ministry, we kind of spend time together. When we're on the road traveling to go minister, when we are somewhere, we spend time with each other. And what we realize is we may not have what other couples have in terms of saying we have a Saturday off. And then we are home the whole Saturday. We may not have that typically. But the times that we get, the little times that we get, we make the most. We pay full attention to each other.
Thank you.
And then, of course, in the day, we call each other. We try to call each other at least several times a day or, at least once.
It's the little things in life that matter the most.
Yeah.
and keep a relationship going.
And so far so good. We are good. And also we have a marriage enriching forum that we do in the church, which also gives us an opportunity to talk about our marriage and also have, other people contributing into the welfare of our marriage as well. Yeah.
Wow. You don't want to add something to that?
I think she has really covered a good deal of it, because most of the things that really wear out of marriage is when, first of all, you as a person, things are already overwhelming on you. So you're going through so much, be it work, be it ministry, whatever. For us, like ministry now, and when it is too much, then that begins to affect you a lot, begins to affect the way you and one of the places where that is especially affected is your marriage. So just maintaining a very sane, a very sober environment and watching on your mental health and your mental state will help you, because now when you're under pressure, you have all these things going on and it is too much for you, it begins to spill over into your marriage. And I think for us, just building teams that, and empowering those teams to be able to really do things that can give us some time out. We don't have to run around to do everything. And building teams and having people that you can really delegate certain roles to will go a long way to freeing some of your time, and even mentally to give you time to think about your family and to spend some time with your family. And that is a very intentional thing. You have to empower people. You cannot really have that if you're insecure. You will never empower leaders to do certain things when you're insecure. You have to be secure in their capacity, in their ability. They will be faithful to do it, because in the end, you will also give an account about your own family. And so creating that time, and of course, finding things that you can be able to do together and being intentional and seeing what can we do together. And go ahead and do those things together, because it is those moments that really you get to build on your relationship. Sometimes people are so seriously married that they cannot have some good time together. Some people lost the fun in their marriage the moment they got married, because they became a husband who is a serious husband, that they cannot laugh, they cannot be with their wife. Oh yeah, I usually say it's important to pray together, but it's also very important to play together. Yeah.
So umesikia? It's very, very important. There'll be a balance.
Yes.
So but also don't play when you're supposed to be praying.
Yes.
Pray when you're supposed to be praying, and play when you're supposed to be playing. Very, very important. Ingredients of a marriage that will thrive. And by the way, the church girls, when you wanasema, sitaki kuolewa na pastor, pastors also have fun time, as you can hear.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Pastors are real people.
Yes.
They are real people. So ladies will say, and sometimes the ladies will say, I never want to get married to a pastor.
They end up getting married to one. Thank you.
Because by saying that I don't want to get married to a pastor, it is already something that you are speaking out of something that it's already in you, but you're speaking out of denial and saying I don't. So it's calling you, but you are actually in denial.
I have a friend of mine from Liberia. This message is for you, dear sister. Names withheld. Listen. It is calling you, even if you're running away. I'm loving this.
I kept running away, but every prophetic word that came was like, you will be a pastor's wife.
But I think what people think, why, from what I pick sometimes with the discussion with the young people, is like, a pastor's life seems boring. It's like, church. It's just church.
It's a lot
church,
of fun.
church house. church house. And they forget that they're also human beings.
Yes. As we play even cards in the house, we do so many things, like fun things that are not necessarily churchy things. And not that we don't do the churchy things. In fact, the good thing about getting married to a pastor, you don't have to explain to them the importance of prayer. When you say it's time to pray, they know what they're supposed to do. So it gives you easier work. Hakuna kuvuta mtu, twende church, ama now those kind of problems, you're out of them, because for you, it's automatic. And so I think what we fear is actually the responsibility of being a pastor's wife and knowing that now you'll have to be on a step higher when it comes to spiritual matters. But you know, God gives grace. It is not you to do
by
it.
the way.
God gives grace. You can come from anywhere, even nowhere, and still rise by God's grace. Because when you trust God, and if God has brought you a pastor and he's the one that has come, just trust God for grace and you will find it works. Then be yourself.
Somebody say amen. Amen. Wow. Okay. We've had a really good conversation and 13 years in your marriage. Unajua ukifika 10, naambianga watu unaingia klasi ya wahenga.
Bas.
Wahenga walisema you can be quoted.
Yes.
Because you've lived 10 years, mizizi iko chini kabisa. So kwenu nyinyi kama wahenga, what is your word of wisdom you'd give to a young girl out here? Amesikiza historia ya marriage is a scam, marriage is a scam, marriage is a scam, marriage is a scam. Lakini kuna kitu ndani bado kanamwambia I want to get married.
Yeah.
Sasa wewe, after 13 years,
yes.
What can you tell that girl?
I'll tell them, first of all, every time you think of marriage, first of all, if you're a lady and you think there are no men, God just needs to give you one. Mungu hawezi kosa mmoja wako. Just tell him, Lord, I just want one for myself. He will give you the right one. But also, marriage is about real people who have a real life. And so it's not about all these other things that we talk about out here. And I know we paint a lot of pictures about a perfect marriage, you know, everything working perfectly. Marriage is about getting through each day. Being able to live, to do your purpose in life. In fact, what you should be most concerned about when it comes to marriage is the function of your marriage, the purpose for which you're coming together. For us, we found our purpose is serving the people of God. And that's what we live for. Every day we are driven to do that. I don't know what your purpose is, but find somebody who has a purpose line like yours and you do life together. Because the worst thing would be to live a purposeless life whereby you're just existing. And let me tell you, money doesn't satisfy.
Thank you.
There are so many rich marriages that are not doing well. And there are also poor marriages that are doing well or not doing well. So it's not about riches, it's not about wealth, it's not about status, it's not about ownership of properties or how many children you have. Marriage is mostly about purpose and being truly in the will of God. When you know for sure that this is the man God has made for me, this is the purpose he's called us to have in marriage, even fights, you stop fighting. Because a lot of fights are also from a very selfish place of, this is the life I wanted. I wanted a pink sitting room. Why are we fighting now? You want a blue one? So many of the fights are because of what we want for ourselves personally. But when you focus on purpose, you realize even the fights are less. Because your hearts are focusing, how do we conquer this mountain?
Yeah.
You become a team that cannot be put down by anything.
It is no longer I, but
yes, we. And you move through life, whether in sickness, whether in health, whether in poverty, whether in riches, you move as a unit and it's you against the world. There is one statement that we always say from when we started, that the entry door we used cannot be used for exit. We closed it, we sealed it, in fact, with stone and mortar. And
in short, haiko.
Hakuna mlango. Tuliingia, we are in, and this is what we say, we are in for keeps. And we are still here.
Let that sink. Pastor Seth, to a young man here. They have listened and almost accepted and bought into the lie that marriage is a scam. 13 years. What can you tell them?
Well, as marriage works.
Yes.
Marriage works. But you've got to put in the work for marriage to work. Number one, I'll say that don't live with the assumption that things will just turn out okay. Yeah. The foundation is very crucial. you must start right for you to build right. Sometimes I've seen people who are building up apartments and then they are told that you cannot do any other story above because the foundation will not be able to hold it. So from the very beginning, from the very offset, it's important to have a very strong foundation. And this foundation will come from the word of God, will come from a godly counsel, people around you that will help you to just prepare for the journey ahead. All that is part of foundation. The moments that you put into pray and to study and to understand the journey ahead of you. So that is a very critical thing to say, that sometimes many people want to come back and correct an error that is foundational. Some people could have been together, probably married for a few years, but you realize you have to go back to the basics. When I learned to play the keyboard from I was a very young boy, I was taught a certain way to play it. But later on, when I met professionals, I realized, first of all, to learn, I have to unlearn what I learned so that I can learn properly in a way that I can be able to scale. And that is very true when it comes to marriage, because there's some things that you could have done life a certain way, but you have to unlearn certain things. And for you to do that, you must submit yourself to counsel, to the right people who can speak to you, not just endorse everything that you're doing. They are not in your life for endorsement, but they are in your life to really mentor you and to walk with you, so that if there are things to unlearn, you can actually unlearn and learn things the right way. That is very important. But I'd also say that you never put your marriage on autopilot and imagine simply because we felt this way from the beginning, we will always feel this way. Learning is continuous. And learning within the institution of marriage does not stop with premarital counseling classes. There are people, the last time they ever attended a marriage enrichment session is the last session of their premarital class.
Oh dear. And
from there, they've been flying with the knowledge they got or the sessions they had. That flight may not go very far. So it is that continuous learning, the work you put into the marriage is what makes marriage to actually work. So you put in the work to keep on learning your spouse, keep on understanding them. When I was about 3 years married, I was ready to write a book about marriage. But I realized that there's so much to learn. I salute people who've written books about marriage. Because even now, I still feel like I'm not ready to publish a book on marriage, because there's so much things that keep on cropping up and developing, and they keep on, you keep on knowing things as you keep on going. The understanding continues to be very expanded as you keep on going. And I'd say you never stop learning.
True.
Matters marriage, matters even the person you're married to, you never stop learning. I have a very dear couple friend. They are now like in their 80s. And I think just about 10 years ago, I was spending some time with a gentleman who was at the time around 70. And he told me, after being married for so many years, he's still learning his wife. That was a humbling statement. For such a man, adult children, already a grandfather of grown kids, and saying, you know what, I'm still learning. One of the errors that you make in life and in marriage is to imagine you know it. And part of the reason why some people may not even submit themselves to counsel is because they believe they know it. They believe there's nothing else to know. Even within a marriage, when one of the spouses imagines that they know everything, that is a disaster that is about to happen. Because whether a husband, a wife, you will never know everything there is to know about marriage. And that's why you cannot just feel like, there are people who actually feel, ndiye nahitaji counseling. Mimi niko sawa. The moment you get there, it's a very dangerous place to get to. Because you will never exhaust what is there to learn about marriage. Therefore, being a student continually, we love sitting with elderly couples. We love listening to them. We talk less when we are around them, because there's so much to learn from people who've been married longer than yourself. And sitting at the council, they have seen things. They may not shout about it. And sometimes wisdom comes in a very gentle voice. Wisdom may not be very loud, but comes in a very gentle voice. So I'd say to everybody out there, marriage works.
Yeah.
Put in the work, read about marriage, spend time with people who are married, people whose marriages are working, and people who have something to share with you, and just keep on learning, because, you know, that is how it works.
Wow. Aish, enyewe, mumekubali mumeingia level ya wahenga. Wahenga walisema
Lakini unajua wahenga waliandika vitabu. Sisi bado.
You're getting there. You're getting there. You're getting there. My goodness, as you're saying, I am 22 years in marriage. I've also learned things that I can go and process and like, yeah, and also remind myself by the way, hapa tunahitaji kujikumbusha kitu. So as he says, we are always learning, always constantly learning, and in this space, learning never stops.
Absolutely.
People in their 70s bwana mpaka saa hii hawajuana vizuri. So umeolewa 3 months ago. Mimi namjua sana. Na lie. Wewe ngoja kidogo. What I also had and I picked is that please choose your troop. Choose your company very well. Bad company corrupts not just good morals, but your marriage. Can corrupt your marriage. Again, what you give your ear to, what are you listening to? Because you become what you feed. If you're constantly feeding on, is a scam.
That's what you grow.
It will give birth to it with time. So be conscious of what you're giving attention to, what you're feeding on, because what you feed on, you will become. That's a reality. Mtu akizoea kukula ile kuku inazungukanga hivi, the system will tell. That also will tell when it comes to the space of marriage. I have loved this conversation. Oh my goodness. And as we wind up, ulimba wimbo 13 years ago. Are the vocals still there to do that again?
He, mommy.
Whoever who sang on that day.
Well, 13 years ago, she was also singing, but on that particular day.
He's the one who sang When I Found You.
Oh, yeah. It's interesting because, she's the singer, but that was the way of I felt like I just wanted to
I actually want you
her,
to do it.
Celebrate her. My goodness. Now the lyrics is what can fail me. The song is still there. The song is still there.
Utamsaidia na gani sasa, because you became two, the two shall become one, you became two. Sasa saidia ile umwangalie kwa macho, ile ambayo unaweza msaidia.
Nimwambie. Hii ni ngumu kibarua.
Wacha basi tutoe wimbo tuseme maneno basi.
Haya, maneno ni rahisi.
Kwa mwangalie kwa macho.
Yeah, Seth Jenga, I really appreciate you. I love you. And I'm glad I'm married to you. It's been a good journey. And I look forward to many, many more years, a lifetime with you. It's been a great journey so far, and I can't wait to see what's in store for the rest of the years. Thank you for loving me and for making me what I am today and helping me to be better every day. And I thank you for always standing by me, supporting me, and every time you go out of your way to come and just take care of what concerns me, I am really appreciative. Thank you.
Wow. Well, 13 years ago, I sang a song.
Yes.
And I sang the song for you. I'll do that 1,000,000 times again and again. And the song was When I Found You. I found love. And indeed, that becomes a very true statement every single day. When I found you, I found love. So I want to thank you for being a part of my life. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for being a pillar in my life. Thank you for loving me, for me. We have had our ups, our downs, but I think every mountain that we have conquered is always a point of reference for us that we can handle any mountain. that is still ahead of us by the grace of God. So today, it is a commitment to continue loving you as my wife. And I thank God for you. I love you.
Oh, I love it.
Aww. We've come to the end of our amazing show. Thank you so much for your time and letting us know for real marriages work. I would like to end with this quote. Marriage works, but marriage needs work for it to work. God bless you. See you next time.